Let's keep scrolling down right here. Let's see what else we have. Carbon dioxide loading. How the carbon dioxide gets loaded into the red blood cell, for example, because you have more carbon dioxide in the tissues, therefore it will go from higher tissues to lower red blood cell. We already talked about bicarbonate. Remember, I told you it's going to get released from the red blood cell in exchange for chloride, which is what you have in here. That's called the chloride shift. And as a consequence of that, the hydrogen will attach to the hemoglobin, therefore reducing the affinity of oxygen for the hemoglobin. More oxygen can get released into the tissues. How do we call that? Oxygen unloading. Right? How come we are able to unload the oxygen? Again, one very important concept is that the hydrogen binds to the hemoglobin that makes this oxygen available to be released into the tissues. Now, the red blood cell has a whole bunch of oxygen, less oxygen in the tissues, so then the oxygen can go from the red blood cell into the tissues. So we keep scrolling down. Right here, not all the oxygen gets released, only approximately 22%, and that's called the utilization coefficient. Whatever remains in there is going to be called venous reserve. Alveolar gas exchange revisited. In this case, what is this? This is the capillary, and this is the lung tissue. So it's the same exact concept, but backwards. In this case, you're going to get rid of the carbon dioxide. You're going to get the oxygen into the red blood cell. But it's the same concept, higher to lower. Now, the next topic is going to be adjustment to metabolic needs. Obviously, the tissues have different needs of oxygen, right? Not all tissues have the same amount of necessity for oxygen at the same time. Then you're going to have some factors that need to be changed. Then you have ambient PO, the amount of oxygen that you have in your tissues. Since the tissues are constantly using the oxygen, then obviously you have less oxygen in your tissues, therefore the oxygen will go to your tissues. That's what this one is. Temperature. If we are, let's say, exercising, the temperature increases and your body needs more oxygen because you're exercising. So then temperature is going to make the hemoglobin release oxygen because your tissues are going to need more oxygen. So if you scroll down right here, this is hemoglobin dissociation. So let's say with the pressure of oxygen is 60. If we go up right here, this one right here in blue is normal temperature. Let's say this is 100%, okay? Let's say this is the blue is 100%. If the temperature increases, as you can see here, the red line, then if the blue one is 100%, you know that this is not 100. Let's say this is 90. So where is the other 10%? That's the 10% that went into the tissues because the temperature stimulates the release of oxygen so the tissues can get more oxygen from the hemoglobin. So we keep scrolling down. Another thing is pH. Same concept. Low pH right here is going to make you release more oxygen into the tissues. If we scroll down, the Bohr effect, that's what I just mentioned. Carbon dioxide controls hydrogen. Hydrogen determines pH. So if you lower the pH, your body knows that it needs to release more oxygen to that particular tissue. That's what this is, and this is actually called the Bohr effect. Next one that we have is BPG. BPG is an intermediary metabolite of anaerobic respiration. Remember, red blood cells don't have mitochondria, therefore we can only produce ATP using anaerobic respiration, and that is going to produce BPG, which is biphosphoglycerate. Okay, when you have biphosphoglycerate, it stimulates the unloading of oxygen into the tissues. Keep scrolling down. Haldane effect. Haldane effect got to do with the hemoglobin, and it says that if you have free hemoglobin, then there's more opportunity for the carbon dioxide to attach to it, so the carbon dioxide can be transported. Let's keep scrolling down. Right here we have blood gases and respiratory rhythm. How do we adjust the respiratory rhythm? Faster, slower hydrogens will change the pH, and because of change of pH, that's one very important factor that is going to make you change the way we are going to breathe. Obviously, changes in pH are going to give you acidosis and alkalosis. And remember, these changes in pH depend on the levels of carbon dioxide. So low levels of carbon dioxide, hypocapnia, high levels of carbon dioxide, hypercapnia. So if you keep scrolling down, so this is the chemical reaction that we already talked about. And so, well, there you go. You have carbon dioxide, oxygen. Oxygen has basically no effects on the changes in ventilation that we're going to have in our body, unless that there's some extreme circumstance, like it says in here, very high altitude. Next one is respiration and exercise. The changes in ventilation when you exercise is not because you actually produce more carbon dioxide or temperature, that the brain tells your muscles to start working faster, but also it's going to tell directly your respiratory system to start breathing faster to adjust the levels of oxygen to the metabolic needs that your muscles are going to have.